is great, right? But you know what? Working from home can also be a huge test of discipline. And today I want to share with you how you can avoid those sneaky distractions and lead to what I believe is meaningful, focused work. The kind of work that actually moves the needle and makes yourself and your employees bucket loads of money. Let's get into it. Let me take you back to when I first started working remotely. The year was 2010, and yes, I know I was doing it at that point, and we didn't have the fancy Zoom setups or Notion tables that you young people have nowadays. The biggest challenge is that I had to basically fight this big temptation to check out just one more YouTube video before I knew it. My entire day was actually completely and utterly destroyed. And what I needed to be able to do was actually figure out how to combat that. And I've overcome that fundamentally since then, but it has been a huge challenge that I've personally had over the last couple of years. I mean, that's one of the major reasons why I co-founded timedoctor.com, specifically to be able to get rid of those distractions and fight those distractions throughout my workday. So over time, I learned some solid strategies to help cut through the noise and distractions, and I'm gonna be sharing some of those with you today. So the core message that I want to talk to you about is deep work. And I want to be able to talk about deep work, and I can't fundamentally talk about deep work, however, without actually talking about the person who literally wrote the book on it. He's also a buddy of mine as well, and we put him right on the front of our book right here, the blurb, Cal Newport. So he's been a fantastic advocate of deep work, and he's been working on it for decades, and he's really been instrumental in shaping how work is done. So in his opinion, deep work is where the magic happens. It's those stretches of time where you're completely absorbed in your task and you know exactly how to complete it, and you have all of the ability or all of the resources around you to actually accomplish that particular thing. And this isn't just a productivity hack, it's a skill. And like any other skill, it takes practice to actually master. And the problem? Well, distractions. Working from home can turn into an obstacle course of distractions if you let it. Notifications pinging me all the time, my 2-year-old peeing on the office floor, because that literally happened yesterday, or just doing one of my patented long-term resets in the shower. It's about 15 minutes and it's mind-blowing, by the way. I highly suggest if you're in a productivity block, just jump in the shower for 15 minutes and jump out. It's called shower thoughts for a reason. Anyways, all of these can actually keep you from getting into deep work. And Cal's book has been a huge influence on me and the Running Remote community. And specifically, this book, the Running Remote book, was specifically deployed to kind of focus on the concept of what if you could actually apply the concept of deep work towards large-scale organizations as opposed to focusing on individual productivity, or at least that's what I wanted it to be. I hope that a lot of people find it somewhat helpful. So if your company can focus on intentionally minimizing the distractions and carving out time for truly important work, then you'll be more effective than any of your competitors. So to actually put this into action, what are the step-by-step strategies? Well, how do we actually fight back against this? Here are some strategies that I think that have worked and you could probably deploy inside of your team. Number one, designate a deep work block. So set a time in your day that's solely for deep work, ideally 90 minutes to 2 hours, where you can really sink into a project. Treat that as sacred time. So don't schedule meetings and let people know that you're not going to be available during that particular time. I literally just block this out of my calendar so that no one can actually book over that time. I'm doing that right now because I'm making videos. Number two, you want to be able to control your environment. So your environment is critical, and if possible, you need to be able to create a workspace that's just for work. So it doesn't have to be a full-on office. Even just a dedicated spot on your desk helps to mentally switch gears into what I like to call work mode. Also, you want to be able to let people in your household know when you're working so that they can actually avoid interrupting you during that particular time. I really build a social space and a workspace. So if I get a call on my phone, I literally, and I know that this sounds super weird, literally leave this room and I answer the phone outside of my office. And if you can commit to removing social interactions in your workspace for like 60 days, I think it's going to be a complete game changer, and it will pretty much stick permanently, at least in my opinion, based off of me doing it. Number three, you want to be able to kill distractions. So turn off notifications, and I mean all of them, like Slack, email, social media. Trust me, it can be so difficult with all of these beeps and bops that are assaulting you all the time. Use tools like Do Not Disturb on your computer. Do the same thing on your phone. It helps you to fundamentally focus. And I like to keep my phone in another room, to be completely honest with you, when I'm in deep work mode. I also have a keyword inside of Slack, which is Liam Martin emergency. And everyone knows that if it's really an emergency, that's the only thing that will push a notification to me on my phone and on my computer if there is truly an emergency that only I can fix. So deep work should feel like you forgot where time has gone, so that you can also remove things like clocks as an example. I don't have any clocks in this particular room. And you just want to be able to set an alarm for when you actually need to get back into your task or your next meeting. Number 4 is set clear goals. So going into a deep work session without a clear goal isn't going to actually work. You need to be able to write down exactly what you want to accomplish and block off that time. So the more specific that you can be, the better. And that way you can actually measure your overall productivity and output. And also notably, you'll be able to have a sense of completion once you've actually completed the thing, which is very hard to do, in my opinion. It's always one of those things that you think to yourself, what have I done today? I literally worked on this thing for 5 hours, and what have I accomplished? Well, make sure that there's a clear outcome at the end. So when I break down what I have to do in that time, I also check against that time block afterwards to see if I hit my target. I'll give you a perfect example is making videos right here. So I wrote the outlines and then we produced the script, and I'm shooting them right now. And to shoot a video and write the script, that takes me about an hour on average. And sometimes you might not actually know that. And maybe it's going to take you 2 to 3 times that amount to actually complete that particular task. Once it's a recurring task, it's going to get a lot easier. But fundamentally for me, understand all of the time constraints that are associated with that particular task, and then make sure that you have clear outcomes that have occurred, because you don't want to be stuck in a situation where you think that a project is going to take an hour when in reality it takes 3. And lastly, number 5, you need to be able to embrace boredom. Cal also loves to do this, which is one of the best parts of his book, to be honest with you, because it's very counterintuitive. Having your mind comfortable with boredom is critical towards adopting deep work. So what does that actually mean? It means weaning yourself off of all of the notifications, the Slack pings, the Microsoft team calls that your brain are constantly basically getting assaulted by, and by extension being turned into mush. So by resisting those distractions to build your brain back to think in a deeper, more sustained way, you can get into deep work mode quite a bit faster, at least in my opinion. Remember, deep work doesn't come naturally to anyone. It actually takes effort to train your mind to focus and engage in deep work, but the reward is fundamentally immense. Imagine getting a full day's worth of work done in literally 2 to 3 hours. And it's possible. It's not only efficient, but it's also deeply satisfying. And I've done this many, many times over the years. So listen, take Cal's word for it. You want to be able to make sure that you can challenge yourself to essentially like a 90-minute session of deep work. So today, you're looking at this YouTube video. What I would suggest that you do is stop watching this YouTube video, although it would be great if you watched like 2 or 3 more of these videos, because it would really help out the algorithm. But stop watching these videos and then commit to a 90-day focused session. So what does that mean? Figure out a goal, figure out what you need to achieve in order to be able to hit that particular goal within a 90-minute window. Get all of the information that you need in order to be able to achieve that goal. So do all your research. As an example, if you're writing a paper, get all the information from the internet before specifically starting that task, and then just try to execute it. And in 90 minutes, you'll have an alarm that goes off and you think to yourself, wow, I did that today. And that was amazing. And if you can do that once a day, you're going to completely change your productivity. Trust me on this one. Other than that, if you have any other tips for productivity, please let me know down below in the comments. I'd love to be able to talk to you more about this particular subject. And while you're down there, you might as well subscribe to this YouTube channel and like this video, because both of those things are free and they would bring me happiness and joy. I'll see you in the next one.